All right, guys, welcome back to the Green Zone. This will be episode 18. No, I'm sorry, episode 17. Scratch that. Episode 17, our very first Green Zone playoff special episode. Don't worry, we got plenty of action. I know there's only a handful of games. Some of you guys are panicking. What am I going to do? How am I going to make money this week? I need to be thumbing through that money. Don't worry, Green Thumbs. I will get you into that Green Zone. As always, plenty of options out there. I'm going to go over the head-to-head pick-ems. Obviously, it's only 4 games going on Wild Card Weekend, and I will pick the winner from each one of those games. But then we will get right into the playoff challenge. If you guys aren't aware of that, we'll go over the rules and how that works and where you can join, how you can sign up for a fantasy playoff challenge, and who I think the best players are to play. And then finally, we'll get into the betting segment. Did really well last week. We're going to carry that into the playoffs for both the pick'ems and the betting segment last week. We crushed it, and we're just going to carry that right into the playoffs, baby. So let's keep it going. Here we go, folks. First up, we are going to, don't mind my little cheat sheet / book I got going on here. First, we're going to go through the NFL head-to-head pick'ems on this week's playoff special. Here we go. First up, we got to get that famous music going. Okay, we got the Colts at Texans, guys. This is a game I'm very excited about. I think this is going to be a great game. 2 teams that met up earlier this year, 2 division teams. I mean, they know each other, and they know each other very well. The thing is, the Colts motorboated the Texans last time that they played them. I don't believe this is going to happen again, guys. I do believe this is going to be a close game. I think the Texans have a shot to win this game. I am taking the Colts. The reason I am doing so, I like Andy Luck and his return and reemergence better than I like Deshaun Watson and how he's done this year. I'm not talking trash, Deshaun. You've done great. Problem is, I think Andy Luck's done a little bit better. Luck is on his side, if you will, guys. I just like the Colts. I like the way that their defense is playing right now. They've got themselves in the top 10 defense total defense or all-around defense, and they're playing really well. They're riding high right now, guys, and I know the Texans are doing well. The Texans had a big win streak going, and it kind of stopped there. It was, canceled by the Colts, that 9-game win streak they had going. But I see the Colts going into a place where they feel comfortable. They know they can win there. They've done it before, and I see them winning again. I like the Texans getting points. We could talk about that later on in the betting segment, but head-to-head, I'm taking the Colts in this one, guys. Next, we got the Chargers at the Ravens. I'm going to surprise you guys on some of these picks here, as apparently I'm picking the underdogs, but I like the Ravens in this game. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens are playing at home. It's going to be cold as hell in Baltimore. Now, you're expecting the Los Angeles, not San Diego, no longer San Diego Chargers, to go into Baltimore and win in that cold weather against that defense? Man, that's a lot. On top of that, the Chargers do have a good defense. They can stop the rushing attack, which is what the Ravens run. At this point, the Ravens run like a triple option, I guess, something like that. It's very interesting. It's mostly a gimmicky offense that you'd find on a college football field, but it works, right? And through the running game and through good defense, the Ravens have put themselves into the playoffs. And now they're ready for a push. I think Lamar Jackson and those Ravens, Gus Edwards, Alex Collins, whoever is running the ball out of that backfield is going to get it done, mostly on the shoulders of the defense, home field advantage, and the rushing game. I just don't think the Chargers, I've said it all year, guys, since week 1, episode 1 of the Green Zone. Go back and check it if you don't believe me. I've said until the Chargers actually do it, I don't believe it. I won't believe it until I see it. And so here, they've got a tough challenge. Look, this would be a tough challenge for any team, especially a team that I'm not real big on and I'm not sure I really believe in. So give me the Ravens at home against the Chargers, beating them again. A couple of rematches in both of those games. The Colts faced the Texas Colts, won. Ravens faced the Chargers. Ravens won. Look, I'm not betting it. I'm not saying to take those teams because of that, though, guys. I'm going purely off of what I've seen recently and the matchups the way that they stand today. Next up, we got the Seahawks at the Cowboys, guys. This one's a great game, too. I'm really excited about all these games this week, to be honest with you guys. But Seahawks at Cowboys. Now, if this game was played in Seattle, I would definitely take the Seahawks. You guys know how I've been touting the Seahawks all year if you've been listening. I think this is the best year Russell Wilson has had since his MVP season. He's playing so efficient and so effective. It's incredible. with the adversity he's faced, the change of characters around him that what he's had to go through, it's amazing. It's awesome. It's great to watch. I think it stops here, though. That Cowboy defense is serious. That Cowboy defense is fierce. And the Cowboys are at home. That crowd's going to be rocking. The Cowboys haven't had something super great as I give a nod to the 90s Super Bowl teams there for the Cowboys since the 90s. So now they've got a team where they've got a great defense, but what do they have on offense? They had a little Amari Cooper. They continue to feed the beast in Zeke Elliott, and Dak Prescott comes a little bit alive. Yeah, they've got a good slot receiver in Cole Beasley, but there's no way that you guys were going to last with him as your number one. You throw in a little Amari Cooper, and lo and behold, now you got yourself a legitimate offense. Are you still going to run the ball? Yes, of course you are. Against that Seattle defense? Yeah, that can happen. So I do think that ultimately the defense of the Cowboys is too much for the Seahawks. The running game of the Cowboys is a little bit too much for the Seahawks. And the Cowboys sneak out with a win at home, only to be removed from the playoffs next week. But we'll get into that later. Then we got the Eagles at the Bears, guys. And this is where I'm probably going to surprise most of you or everybody here. And that's when I'm taking the Eagles. I can't even get it out of my mouth. I can't even speak right now. It's so crazy. Hot take, sizzling, coming right at you, baby. That's that I'm taking the Eagles over the Bears. Yes, the team that a lot of you have going to the Super Bowl in your playoff brackets, I'm eliminating in the first round. That is the Chicago Bears. Right now, guys, the Eagles are as hot as they come. It's just like last year. Somehow they ended up as the number one seed, but they were still under the radar, a team nobody was talking about. They got hot at the right time. They soared all the way to the Super Bowl, and then they put it on Tom Brady and those Pats. I don't know if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but I do not see them getting eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. Here's what I don't like about the matchup for the Bears. The Bears are a run-first team. Then Matt Nagy has done a great job being creative with that offense, knowing that Mitch Trubisky's not the best quarterback. He can make things happen with his legs. He's athletic. Sometimes he can make the right time throw, or the right throw at the right time. But Nagy's very creative. Gets him to get the ball to his skill players and into their hands without having to do too much, right? Here's the problem with that. The Eagles are a great pass defense, or a great rush defense. They're a subpar pass defense. What do the Bears like to do? They like to run the ball. They like to run those fly sweeps. They like to open up everything else to make things easier for Trubisky by running the ball. I don't think that Eagles front eight, as I like to call them, allows that to even happen. I don't know if they can even get into the groove to open things up and make things easier for Trubisky. So, bottom lining it, the Bears are going to have to win this game through the air. Can Mitch Trubisky win against the former champions through the air, getting it done with his arm rather than his legs and his other players? I don't think so, guys. I know that Bears defense is awesome. I know that Bears crowd is going to be so fired up as they haven't had something legitimate to cheer about since, I don't know, Rex Grossman. The bottom line is, guys, I think the Eagles are too hot right now for those Bears to handle. Till they're defeated, the defending champions remain alive. All right, guys, that is all of our games set up for this wild card weekend, and what a weekend it'll be, guys. I really am excited. It's going to be awesome. Last week, we did really well on our pick-ems. We went 13-3. We also did really well on our betting segment. We'll get into that. So, like I said, we're just going to roll that straight into the success all throughout these playoffs. And then I did want to get into something kind of interesting here, guys. I took a listen back to episode 1 of the Green Zone, and that is where I made my initial predictions of who would win the divisions, the wild card teams, and then who would be in the Super Bowl. Now, if you've listened to my podcast at all or any of my YouTubes, I've touted quite a few times that my Super Bowl predictions are still alive, and that is Saints versus Pats. Yes, they're both in the playoffs, so that option's still alive. I'll get to you guys a little joke later as to how I tried to bet on that Super Bowl just tonight and click the wrong team. So now I got to root for somebody else who I don't think is going to make it to the Super Bowl. So that's awesome. Be careful when you're betting online, guys. It's really easy to accidentally click the wrong game. A lot of those matchups as far as clicking the exact, if you want to bet on the exact Super Bowl for that prediction, because it gives you pretty good odds, or it gives you a pretty good payout, be careful. A lot of those teams are smashed up into a little box there. So, first up, episode 1 predictions. NFC West. I predicted the Rams would come out of that division. Boom. Give me a little check mark on that one. AFC West. Said the Chiefs would come out of there. Got that one right. NFC South, predicted the Saints would come out of there. Boom, another one. Here's where we go a little awry. Got the AFC South predicted the Jaguars would win that division. Rawr. Unfortunately, the Jaguars didn't have enough spunk this year. They couldn't get around the fact that Bozo the Clown was trying to throw the ball there for them at quarterback. So they didn't quite make it. But you know what? Better luck next year, right? Then we got the NFC North, guys. I picked the Vikings to win that division. Now, the Vikings got pretty dang close. I should have known that Kirk Cousins would choke, just like Case Keenum did when it was crunch time. You actually got a little bit further, Minnesota, with Case Keenum than you did with Kirk Cousins, and you paid a lot of money for Kirk Cousins to win those types of games at the end of the year last week that he just lost to the Chicago Bears, who weren't really even playing super hard, but I don't know. They were going to bench depending on what happened in the Niner game, but it doesn't matter. You lost, and it was a must-win game, and that's why you were brought there, Kirk Cousins. Shame on you. Shame, shame. 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 Any Game of Thrones fans out there? Shout out Game of Thrones. Shout out Red Bull, too. Keeping this going right now. It's very late on a Friday night, guys. All right, AFC North, guys. I predicted the Steelers would win that division. They were a win away from getting in as well, and they choked. But didn't see the Ravens coming as hard as they did. NFC East, I picked the Eagles. Yes, the Eagles got in. They did not win their division, however, and I did not pick the Eagles as a wild card team. You can count that as you want. These are week 1 predictions, and I had the Eagles going to the playoffs. I'm counting that as a thumbs up, baby. Then we had the AFC East, and of course, I picked the Pats to come out of there. Super Bowl, Saints versus Pats, still alive. We already went over that. Wild card teams, I had the Packers, Falcons, Chargers, Broncos, and then ding, we got the Chargers, right? Chargers are in there. They're not a wild card team. They're division winners, they are a wild card team. My mistake. So yeah, those were my wild card teams. Got 1 out of 4. We will continue on, guys. Just wanted to show you how awesome I am and how many I got correct there. Yeah, that was week 1 predictions, guys. So just because I got a few wrong, do not drag my name through the mud, you son of a gun. Okay, so next, guys, we are going to go over the playoff challenge. And for those of you who aren't familiar with this, here's what it is. It is a way to keep things going for us fantasy football lovers. If you go to NFL.com, you can sign up for the NFL Playoff Challenge. You can do this. You can pay money to do this. You can sign up in a free league. I think if you win, versus thousands of contestants, you can get a trip to the Super Bowl or something like that. But I recommend paying, some money and just doing a fun little thing there. If you want to do some serious money, you can do that too. They got all kinds of options for you. But the bottom line is, guys, you will be selecting a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a kicker, a defense, and I don't think I'm leaving anything out. And the way that it works is you'll see that you can still select players that are on a bye to play in the wild card round. They'll have the wild card round, the division round, the NFC, or the championship round, and then finally the Super Bowl. And how that works is if you were to select, let's say Pat Mahomes, as I have him as the QB you should take, he will not get you any points for the wild card round. However, when he plays in the divisional round, as they have to play eventually, he will get 2 times the points. Since he missed 1 game, double the points. So if you think Pat Mahomes at double points is a better option than, Andy Luck, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, or any of these wild card matchups, then you would want to take Pat Mahomes. Also, if they continue on, let's say the Chiefs win their matchup, and they're now in the championship round. If I select Pat Mahomes at that point, because you had him in the first round, second round, and now the third round, you get triple the points, and so on. So you see there's a lot of strategy involved in this game, guys. It is really fun. I do encourage everybody to play it. If not for money, then play it for fun. It's awesome. Play it for bragging rights. It is really cool. It keeps things going. So we're going to go through this quickly, guys, because, there's only 7 guys here that I got to give you. I will still cue that music. Don't worry about it. First up, quarterback, guys. I already told you who it would be. Pat Mahomes. Yes, that's right. I do believe the Chiefs are going to go to the AFC Championship. So at the very least, I think the risk of having Mahomes double points in his first matchup, no matter who it's with, is worth taking. Next, I've got running backs. A lot of you guys will disagree with who I've picked, but I've got Todd Gurley and Alvin Kamara. Todd Gurley, a lot of you will probably have. He's a multi-use running back in a very heavily offensively schemed system over there in Los Angeles. They're going to utilize the hell out of him. He'll get rushing yards. He'll get passing yards. Sean McVay's going to lean heavily on Todd Gurley. Probably agree with that. Alvin Kamara, you might be thinking, wow, there's a lot of good running backs out there. You know, Zeke Elliott, Melvin Gordon, whoever. Now, Damian Williams, he's real hot. He's in a great system. Yeah, fine, I get it. I have had Alvin Kamara on my fantasy team many a times, and he's done nothing but lead me to success. The guy is a usage monster. He's a target titan. Whatever sort of nickname you want to give him. He is all over the place for the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees loves this guy, and I love this guy. When you talk about flexibility and balance in the league, this guy has it. He reminds me of the Nightcrawler from Marvel, if you will. Superhero dorks, shout out. Here's the thing, guys. I really do think that Alvin Kamara is going to get, he's going to get the rock, and he's going to get it often. I also think the Saints are going to be in the Super Bowl. I also think the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl. So it's smart for me to make that selection. If you are struggling and you would like another running back, you're not really sure you can trust Kamara, fine. Go with Zeke Elliott. He's got a good matchup. Out of all the wild card rounds, he's got a plus matchup. He's the only one with the plus matchup as the as the Seattle Seahawks don't have the greatest rush defense. I mean, they're still top 10, but the others are like top 5. So, also, the Texans have a bottom. The only team in the playoffs with a bottom, they're like 29th pass defense rating. So if you want to take advantage of that, you could start Andy Luck this week as well at quarterback position. All right, moving on, guys. Wide receivers, I got Tyreek Hill. You gotta have the cheetah. He's too much of a home run to pass up on. You're telling me I can get double and possibly triple points on Tyreek Hill when he could have a game like 10 catches for 100-plus yards and 2 touchdowns? It's too mouth-watering and too enticing to pass up, guys. I got to have Tyreek Hill in my lineup. And then the other is Michael Thomas. Now, I went around and around on this, guys. Here's the thing. The only guys used in New Orleans on offense are, or worth using for fantasy value, Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and that's it. So, if you have both Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas in your lineup, that might not be good. If the Saints struggle, they don't put up a lot of points, but they win the game, then they still make it as far as I think they will, right? As long as they win. But maybe it wasn't good having 2 offensive skill players in my lineup. So that's the risk I'm willing to take. If you're looking for another wide receiver, there are good options out there. I like Amari Cooper. I also like Julian Edelman. Those are 2 guys that are going to get fed and fed often in their systems. They also have teams that have a chance to go a little further than others. Scroll through those playoff wide receivers, guys. You're not going to find a lot of superstars. You'll see DeAndre Hopkins, T.Y. Hilton, and of course Michael Thomas, but other than that, your options become kind of thin if you're looking for that big name guy. So you really got to think matchups, and you really got to put your money and chips on the guy or team that you think is going to go the distance in the playoff bracket. Tight end, guys, I got Eric Ebron. He's got too much of a mouth-watering matchup this week against the Houston Texans. On top of that, I think the Colts are set up to win this game. So they can get into the next round. He can get double points, and he's basically their number 2 wide receiver. So even if the Colts lose their second game, he'll probably still put up some good numbers. I like Eric Ebron big in this one. And then finally, guys, I finish it off with the kicker being Will Lutz. He's a reliable kicker. He's on the team I think is winning the Super Bowl, so that's a no-brainer. And defense, yes, I took the Bears. Now, I know you're saying, Jimmy, you have them out in the first round. Well, just in case they're not out in the first round, they're a better team than the Philadelphia Eagles. They have every reason they should win that game. So, if the Bears do win that game, then I see them going a little bit deeper into the playoff bracket. I really do believe that the Eagles are the worst possible matchup for Chicago. I apologize, Bear fans. That's unfortunate. But after that, if they beat this challenge, they're got a pretty good shot to at least make it to that NFC Championship game. I know that's only 1 game away at that point, but you get what I'm saying, guys. So, I like the Bears defense as a selection there. All right, that is it for fantasy. Wow, we are flying through, guys. Remember, this is a first-time deal for me as well. So this is all kind of new, interesting, and very fun. All right, next we're gonna go to our betting segment. Last week, just off the top of my head, I believe we went 8-3. That's where we want to be. Yep, 8-3 last week in our betting segment. We went 4-1 on the first look bets. 3-2 on our second take bets, and we don't count the third game. So I guess we did this week because I got a W. So like Jameis, we're eating those W's. Anyways, guys, one of my favorite memes of all time. So now we're gonna get into the betting segment. I'm gonna play a little AC/DC. What do you do for money, honey? And we all know, if you're listening to this podcast right now or watching me on YouTube, you bet and gamble on the NFL for your money. So, a lot of very, very minor spreads, guys. So, I mean, these games are almost pick-ems. I'm going to give you what I think you should do based on the current spreads. But if these lines move at all, I will also give you advice on what you should do. Similar to last week, how I told you, if Mariota is playing, take the Titans plus the points. If Mariota's not playing and it's Blaine Gabbert, then take Andy Luck and the Colts minus the points. He did not play. If you took Luck and the Colts, you won that bet. So, I'm going to do that for you guys again. First up, we got the Colts +1. If I like the Colts to just straight up go into Houston and beat the Texans, then if you give me a point, that's great. If you get even more points, definitely take this bet. I would like and feel better about this bet if it was the Colts +3.5. It's not quite there. Bottom line is, if the Texans start to see points go their way, then you really got to think about this, guys. If the Texans get 1, 2, 3 points especially, take the Texans. But look, it's going to be a close game. These are two teams that are very evenly matched. I like the team getting the points. Next, guys, we got the Cowboys -2. If I think the Cowboys are going to win at home, they're probably going to win by more than 2 points. This can be a field goal difference game, but that's 3 points, boys and girls, as I educate you on Football 101 here on the Green Zone. Yes, a field goal is 3 points. 2 points, it is possible that they win by 2 points. 1 point, and then you lose instead of push. I don't know. I think it'll be close. I don't know about that close. So give me the Cowboys -2. Ravens -2.5. Now, I know it's enticing. You look, you see Chargers versus Ravens. Chargers, better record. Chargers, flashier team. Chargers, a very heavily favored Super Bowl pick. A lot of people like the Chargers going to the Super Bowl. Ravens -2.5, guys. Trust me on this one. The Ravens are going to put the screws to the Chargers. The Chargers are going to have a real tough time passing in Baltimore at all. I know Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I know he likes to spread the ball all over the place, throwing jump balls for everybody. There may not be a better secondary than the one they got going in Baltimore right now. Jimmy Smith is playing the best defense I've seen him play in a long time. They got Carr out there as well. They got an amazing secondary, guys. If you're not sure who they are, or you haven't heard of them, go check them out. And if you don't believe me, look at their numbers on paper. They are fantastic. Watch some film on them. The way Jimmy's running around out there, it's like he's, fresh out of college again. It's incredible. I like the Ravens minus the points. That's a tough spot for you, Chargers. I apologize. Then we got my favorite bet of the evening, and that is the Eagles +6.5, guys. I really do think that the Eagles got the best matchup that they possibly could. The Bears got the worst matchup that they possibly could. The Eagles got hot at the best moment that they possibly could. And the Bears, they won their last game, but it feels kind of like they're backing into the whole playoffs. I like Eagles giving me 6.5, the defending champs. Cue the eye of the tiger. Take the points and the Eagles. That does it for our betting segment, guys. That does it for the podcast and our very first playoff special here on the Green Zone. The last thing I do want to tell you guys is last week, if you were tuned into my podcast, I talked a little bit during the topics and stories segment about how guys running over the middle, slants, crossing patterns is a very popular route nowadays. And on top of that, these guys These receivers do not know which way to turn their hands. A lot of confusion with the way that I explained that. I thought I did a good job, but apparently a lot of people wanted a visual. So here is the visual, guys. If you are running a crossing route or a slant, anything that is going towards the middle of the field, and you are looking back at your quarterback this way, let's say, your hands should be like this. This is how you would catch that ball. You do not, under any circumstance, turn your hands like this to catch the ball coming that way. That's an over-the-shoulder method there. You catch a ball coming over your shoulder this way. Crossing the middle, let's say my quarterback is back to my right. Crossing the middle, why would I put my hands like this? That's football 101. No, I would turn like this and I would catch the ball like that, guys. So for those of you on the podcast, I apologize. I tried explaining this last week. I know like this or like this doesn't mean anything to you. That was for you guys. That was your little YouTube treat there, guys. If you guys haven't seen my YouTube channel yet, you can tune in. Just go look under Jimmy Havener is my channel name. Yeah, I know it's very creative and very confusing, but you should be able to find it that way. And for those of you listening or watching, freaks, on YouTube, what you want to do is you want to go to Podbean. It's a free podcast app. It is a good app. I mean, it's got a ton of great podcasts on there. So you guys will be able to transition off of me and into somebody else as I leave you and walk into the sunset when the NFL season ends. I know you'll have withdrawals. You'll need another podcast to latch onto. So go to the Podbean, download it for free, look up me, Jimmy Havener. If you can't find me by name, then just put that little search tab, put The Green Zone, all one word, and you'll see all my 17 episodes pop up there. So stay tuned, podcast listeners. For those of you on YouTube, thank you for listening, you beautiful, beautiful listeners.